This is an important message to the Democratic National Committee, to the delegates, and especially to the superdelegates to the 2016 Democratic National Convention. If you want the Democratic Party's nominee to win the general election in November, then that nominee had better be Bernie Sanders. We the people are angry at corrupt corporate business-as-usual establishment politics and politicians. Bernie supporters, burners, have done our own research on Hillary Clinton. We know her positions, all of them, going back to when she was a conservative Republican Goldwater girl to whatever they are today. Proud conservative, moderate to center, progressive, Bernie in drag. The only position she hasn't changed on is this: do and say whatever it takes to win. We know Hillary's dishonesty, pandering, and pathological lying. She's shown us her arrogance, conceit, and condescension. Her trust, favorability, and likability ratings are in the toilet. Hillary's corruption makes Richard Nixon, old tricky Dick, look like an altar boy. Remember the Watergate adage, follow the money? The Clinton adage is, show me the money! For many decades, the wealthy and powerful have used our government to redistribute wealth from the middle class and poor to the already rich. The Clintons' failed Republican economic and trade policies of the 1990s have had disastrous effects on this country's middle class and poor. Their crime and welfare reforms devastated the black and other minority communities. We know Hillary's pay-to-play corruption as Secretary of State, where Hillary was arms dealer to the world. How much worse would it be if she were president? All the money she takes from wealthy corporate interests, directly or indirectly, compromises her in ways she can no longer even see. Elizabeth Warren said of Hillary and her money bags before she endorsed Hillary,
she has taken money from the groups, and more to the point, she worries about them as a constituency.
Follow the money. Examine the list of Hillary's top campaign and foundation contributors, and you will see the constituencies Hillary will worry about most if she's elected. The business constituencies she claims to want to regulate, even the ones she's claimed are her enemies. Don't believe her campaign rhetoric. They keep giving her money. We don't believe Hillary either, except for her foreign policy. Hillary Clinton's foreign policy experience is a sad legacy of bad judgments. Her neocon policy of regime change by military intervention has devastated and further destabilized the Middle East and North Africa, killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people, caused a massive refugee and humanitarian crisis, left several countries in ruin, and led to the growth of ISIS and other terrorist groups. Her support of the 2009 military coup in Honduras led to the assassination of hundreds of democracy and human rights activists there and made the country the murder capital of the world. Hillary Clinton has made the world a more dangerous place. Clearly, the world doesn't need more of Hillary's disastrous foreign policy experience. Protecting the environment and reversing climate change are mere afterthoughts for Hillary. By actively colluding with the Hillary campaign, the DNC has shown it is anti-democratic and corrupt. The DNC and the Clinton machine have done, and continue to do, everything they think they can get away with to steal the nomination from us. The most egregious being the rampant voter suppression, vote rigging, and tampering, and other forms of election fraud, which have consistently benefited only one candidate, Hillary Clinton. Little by little, the truth is leaking out about the DNC's collusion with Hillary and the corporate media. Lawsuits already filed and in the works will reveal much more DNC and Clinton fraud and corruption. Independent voters now outnumber Democrats and Republicans. Independents were not allowed to vote in most of the primaries. If all of the primaries had been open, most of these independents would have voted for Bernie, and Bernie would now have more pledged delegates and popular votes than Hillary. Most independents will not vote for Hillary, and up to 91% of Bernie voters will not vote for Hillary, even if Bernie endorses her. Hillary cannot beat Trump without these votes, and she will not have them. Believe it, folks. Now consider this. Much of Hillary's delegate and popular vote count was obtained through election fraud. If all the caucuses and primaries had been honest and fair, Bernie would now have more pledged delegates and popular votes than Hillary. Because of this election fraud, Hillary has significantly less support than the official numbers show. So unless they can rig the general election like they did the primaries, Hillary will tank in November. Now here's how it gets really interesting. For many months, polls have consistently shown Bernie beating Trump by significantly higher margins than Hillary. Some recent polls have shown Hillary dead even or down by 5 points against Trump, while similar polls have consistently shown Bernie beating Trump by higher margins than Hillary. In recent polls, Bernie beats Trump by 10 to 15 points. Bernie is clearly the much stronger candidate than Hillary. So if the bottom line really is stopping Trump, the best way to do that is to nominate Bernie and unify the party around him. So why are so many delegates still so hostile to Bernie and still pushing Hillary? Money. Big money. Bernie can't be bought and promises big disruptions to long-established sweetheart deals, corporate subsidies and tax breaks, and the common, everyday corruption that infests the political establishment. The cost of a Bernie presidency to the corporate Democratic establishment is much higher than they want to pay, so they would rather have Trump in the White House than Bernie. The Democratic establishment, with the cooperation of the corporate media, have done everything they can to stop Bernie. Their bottom line isn't defeating Trump. It's defeating Bernie and saving the corrupt Washington status quo. They would rather risk Hillary's losing to Trump than risk Bernie winning. They would rather have a Republican in the White House than have an honest FDR Democrat as president. So, dear superdelegate, whose side are you on? Are you part of the corporation establishment and the culture of corruption? Would you rather have a Republican in the White House than Bernie Sanders? And you current Democratic Party office holders, most of us consider most of you part of the problem. We're watching you, and we're taking names. If you nominate Hillary, longtime party Democrats will leave the party in disgust. Hillary has insulted and alienated an entire generation of voters. Millennials have no party loyalty and won't forget how Hillary's mafia and the DNC have treated them. Burners know that this presidential election is just one battle in a class war that has been going on for 35 years. If we lose this battle, your party will lose much of its support, while our support will continue to grow, and we have just begun to fight back. So, if you really want the Democrat to win in November, you had best work to nominate Bernie Sanders.